You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and this is Year of the Demon, Part 2. "2022 is the Year of the Demon." So last episode, we announced the Year of the Demon compilation and a brand new Night Demon album of new material, all coming your way this year. There's more Night Demon news coming in 2022 we'll get into in a bit, but as a bit of a recap of last week's episode, the Year of the Demon compilation. So 2020, Night Demon released 5 singles. So without warning, no pre-orders, no pre-announcements, they just released these 7-inch singles with exclusive B-sides. So these singles sold out almost immediately. So May 25th, 2022, they're going to be compiled and released as a 12-inch vinyl in various formats and variants, as well as on CD, and you can get the details on nightdemon.net. So if you're not able to get these singles in 2020, now is your chance to get all of these tracks. Here's the members of Night Demon: Dusty, Armand, and Jarvis.
Bands that released albums during the pandemic kind of lost some steam because they couldn't go tour on it. And we already had the idea to put singles out anyway. And when the pandemic happened, it worked out in our favor, I think, very well. It gave us a chance to keep it fresh, release something new every 5 weeks. It had new album art. I think the fans were kind of like, what are they going to do now? And it was just the right place at the right time, and we did a really good job of doing it. And it just, we couldn't have designed it any better. It's nice to work with a label like Century Media that doesn't breathe down our neck and make us do what they think is best for us. They know that we know what's best for us, and it works out for their favor. And it allows us to be happy musicians and to have control over the Night Demon brand and band, So obviously everything sold out and it was great. So it obviously worked.
This is a compilation of the 2020 singles. All 5 singles sold out within 1 to 3 days of release.
It's a cool thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't have a physical copy of these songs. So this is a way to have a physical copy of all the songs. You can listen to them all in order. New artwork, new master. It's just cool. It'll be good. I'm really happy we're doing that.
My name is Stephanie Shoulders. I do product management and artist relations for Metal Blade Records. Prior to that, I worked doing the same job for Century Media Records and their family of labels. With such a short window of each track being released, some people might not find out about it for months later. And I think that actually was the case for some people who, I don't know if they're just living under a rock or they don't read social media or whatever, but I know that each of the singles ended up selling out like right away, and a lot of people missed the boat on that one.
So if you did miss the boat on those singles, or if you're like me and you just want all these songs in one place, remastered with new cover art, now's your chance. So January 21st, 2022, the pre-order starts on nightdemon.net. So this compilation, Year of the Demon, is stacked front to back with awesome material. I think where it's a compilation of the singles and B-sides, there's like literally no filler at all on this. So here, with the help of the members of Night Demon, is the track listing for Year of the Demon.
Empire's Fall, our first single released in this singles campaign of 2020. Just a great, straight ahead, short, fast Night Demon burner.
Empire's Fall is something that's been around for a long time. There's been many incarnations, as you'll hear in all the different demos that we have of that song. But finally, it came together, and it was the first song we recorded without the idea of the singles at the time.
Empire's Fall. That was a song that we wrote together. That was the first track that we worked on when it was like, hey, we need new songs. And very simple idea, very short and sweet. But it was a little difficult to make it as such a short song and to be able to have all of the elements of what a great song needs, but in, 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
So when I wrote this song, I kind of felt that vibe a little bit on the choruses. There's like these whoa, whoa, whoa gang vocals. And at first I was like, this may be a little bit too much of a departure for us. But it just sounded right to me, and I liked the way it felt.
It's cool. I guess I could say that the song has pretty much a little bit of everything. You've got some ripping, kind of good timey maiden-y kind of riff. You got a nice, relaxing feel in the bridge where I get to do some cool acoustic stuff that I'm pretty proud of. It always goes back to, my influence of like the early 70s Sabbath kind of stuff with the acoustic interludes and all that kind of shit. So I got to sneak a little bit of that in there, and I'm stoked.
And then, to come out of that and then go into the blistering solo, all the parts are there.
And then it just kicks back in and kicks you in the fucking nuts until the end of the song. And that's that.
That song has a lot of energy. It's pretty freaking fast. Love it. I love that song. It's really cool.
Kill the Pain. Now, Kill the Pain was a amazing time recording that song. We got to record with the legendary producer of the first of three of the best, probably the three best Metallica albums, right? The Lightning, Master Puppets, and Justice for All. Flemming Rasmussen in Denmark at Sweet Silence Studios. And for a moment there, we were actually recording through the original mixing console that he used on those early records.
Kill the Pain. Recorded that one with Flemming Rasmussen, Copenhagen, Denmark, right before we started the Sacred Reich tour. So it was October of 2019, right before Heavy Hamburg.
Kill the Pain, a riff that I had been hanging on to for a long time that went through a lot of changes, but we actually made a really great song. This is definitely one of my favorites of the singles.
Do you ever feel you don't belong? But nobody senses anything wrong. The pain of existence cuts like a knife. Continued persistence to end your life. The end of your life.
That song was kind of written while we were spending some time in Hamburg, Germany. It's a great, fun, another cool song that mixes a bunch of our influences, you know. Pretty proud of that solo, the melody part and the bridge, and the way it starts with the machine gun attack on the snare drum from our good old buddy Dusty Squires there.
So musically, I mean, also it's a song that I'm really stoked on, and it's got a lot of good ebbs and flows to the song. And you know, at first it didn't really jump out at me musically as like, you know, the music are gonna fit the lyrical context of something this heavy. But when I started writing lyrics to it and started laying down that kind of story of relation of somebody who's just depressed or somebody who's just totally given up on life and is kind of looking for that reason to keep going, I think it fit really well.
And Kill the Pain was a kind of a difficult song for me to learn drum-wise. There's a lot of cool fills on that song, very Night Demon-esque. One of my favorite songs to play, love it. What a great experience to work with Fleming on that song. So that's a special track, and I think that song is going to be played live quite a bit.
Are You Out There? Our tribute to Phil Lynott and Thin Lizzy. This was the best way we could do it, just to write our own song.
Are You Out There? Another unique track we recorded with Steve Albini in Chicago on a day off when we were out. I was actually just teching for Surath Ungol for a festival, and then we had a day off and we were still there, so we booked studio time with Albini, went in, cut that track.
Are You Out There? Are You Out There is kind of our ode. Well, obviously, yeah, it's our ode to Thin Lizzy, Phil Lynott, his rise, and then his tragic fall.
Charlie, come home. From the door, back streets you roam. Alone somewhere,
though it's directly influenced by Phil's life, it has so many parallels to the stereotypical rock star. And me having been through that on some level in my life, I'm happy that I could come out of it on the other end and be able to turn that into art and inspiration, not just for myself, but for our fans as well.
That song's really cool, you know, it's a rock and roll song. You know, it's not a blister track like what we, you know, like Empire's Fall is a ripper and Wisteria is real fast and gnarly. So Are You Out There is just a nice rock and roll song, but then we also pick it up after the fact and take the song to the next level and pick it up and play a little bit faster. So that's a really fun song. I enjoy that song quite a bit.
We need to know, are you out there? Just another fixed man to you. This train is rolling off the rails. Through the fog you cannot see the show. Just another casualty of the wild.
I mean, musically alone, this song, it's like it came about. I had a riff that I had written in 2014.
Jarvis had sort of a kind of Thin Lizzy-ish riff.
And I had written this kind of Thin Lizzy-ish riff that we never did anything with. And years later, Armand says, hey, I got this kind of Thin Lizzy-ish riff. I don't know if we should use it. And I said, well, I've got this one from a while back, so we kind of combined them.
I just had this thing, and he had this thing, and we said, well, shit, let's put the two things together, and then we created like our ultimate, like kind of Thin Lizzy tribute. So that worked out pretty cool.
Your rock has lost its role. The next gig is your funeral. You've gotten out of control. You won't live again. Oh no, Johnny, come home. From the dark, back streets you roam. Alone somewhere. Hey Johnny boy, are you out there?
Wisteria, our pandemic song.
Wisteria, our answer, and I guess our premonition in a way of what was going to happen with this pandemic.
Wisteria came about. I had the main riff for that. That was just kind of something I had written. I guess it's sort of kind of, I guess you could call that. That's kind of like my very influenced by kind of Master of Puppets era, Metallica, Megadeth. You know, So Far So Good So What, Peace Cells era. With those parts, it was a bit more on that edge. With my original demo of that.
Only then you realize it's a war in disguise. Society.
But it was cool, man. It's really challenging, kind of like, I think that's like let's see how brutal we can get with the riffs on that song. Lyrical content, you know, we wrote it in the midst of, you know, what was going on. It's a little bit of a kind of question about what was going on, what is going on with the pandemic, how it's been really pushed in the media and, you know, overextended and really fucked everybody's lives up for a long time. Whether it needed to be that extreme or not, this song just kind of explores those ideas.
I think originally we didn't really want to have a pandemic song, but because of the way things were going, and it was the last single that we did, and we really wanted to just kind of capture that, and it was our first kind of like thrashy song, and it's a hard song to play, man. I'll tell you what, it's a ripper from start to finish. Yeah, Visteria is a cool song, and we wrote the lyrics together as a band, which is the first time we've ever done that. And basically our idea behind that was, don't be afraid, go out there and still live your life as best as you can.
In Trance, on stage, live with the legend himself, Uli John Roth of the Scorpions. Kill Me Now.
In Trance live, I mean, what else do I need to say about that? Who wouldn't jump at the chance to have Uli come on stage with the band and play with me? He got to grace us with his presence.
In Trance live, what a cool experience to play in Trance live in Hamburg with Uli. That song and the vibe is pretty self-explanatory. What a goosebump moment.
Fast Bikes, a new wave of British heavy metal, complete underground classic. This band barely left the garage. I'm glad we could represent them in some way.
Yeah, that's a song that we stumbled on with a metal mixtape. And, when we first heard that song, it blew us away. And it was something that, even when Brent was in the band, still something that we talked about covering.
I get no problem just staying alive. Give me a fast bike. A long dry road. Who needs a woman? You better on your own.
Fast Bikes is a song by a band, a really unknown new wave of British heavy metal band called Le Griff. Yeah, it was just one of those tunes that we would just jam in the van when we were on tour. And then, we just said, hey, let's cover this thing, man. Nobody has ever, there's nobody that's ever covered this stuff. A lot, very small amount of people have actually even heard this band or this song before. So it's one of those songs that probably is going to turn into one of those things where it's like people don't even know it's a cover. They probably think it's an original, something like that.
Fast Bikes is the song is great. And the way Le Griff did it, and then, we just had to pay homage to that and do something that nobody's ever really done before. So
100 miles per hour. Definitely one of my favorite Sirathungal songs, and a song that the band never plays live. really stoked to have our brother Tim Baker help us with vocals on this one.
Under the man's steel, there's ice in our veins. We're brought to fire.
One of my favorite Sarathungal songs, when I heard it for the first time, I was like, wow, they have a song that's kind of like a song that we would play, you know? So for us to cover that and have Tim on vocals, to have the, you know, for them to pass the torch to us and let us cover their song is really special.
Talk about a jammer. I mean, if there was any Sarathungal song that was perfect for Night Demon, that's the only one. I enjoyed learning the solo. It's a really cool solo. And I think we did it, you know, really good.
We demonized that song all around, you know. Even though we love Sarathungal, there's no way that you're going to play their songs like they do. So for us to demonize it the way that we did is pretty fitting, and that's the way that we saw that song was to be played by us.
Sun Goes Down. That's another song that we had talked about for a long time. Talked about covering that and giving it the new treatment that we did.
There is a demon among us whose soul belongs in hell, sent here to redeem us. She knows it all too well. He comes and goes, he comes and goes. She knows it all too well. But when all is said and done, the sun goes down. The sun goes down. Oh, the sun goes down. The sun goes.
You know, on Thunder and Lightning, that's a song that just basically stays the same the whole time. That idea was something Jarvis came to the plate with, you know, early on and said, I want to make a version of Sun Goes Down where we bust into a blister and just go for it.
The Sun Goes Down. Another deep cut from Thin Lizzy. This one, I mean, we definitely demonized it and made it our own.
He knows it all too well. But when all is said and done, the sun goes down.
You know, it's very Night Demon, and I love playing that song. It is a really fun song to work on, and it was a fun song to play, and I like doing it live. It's a classic.
So I think that we did that justice and we kind of gave it a new life. And I kind of like our version better, you know?
Wasted Years, the one track that was left off of Live Darkness, our encore for that record in Cleveland. Amazing audience for that. You could really feel the energy on this one.
Of course, a fan favorite and a live staple for Night Demon for a long time.
I love playing that song. We keep it pretty Iron Maiden-like.
There was a couple different recordings that we had of that, but this one comes from the outtakes of the Cleveland show, which ended up being Live Darkness. It was about time to finally put that out. People were always asking us for that, and we were always kind of like, nah, we just want to keep it a live thing, you know, but finally the opportunity came up, and it's like, you know, it just felt right to put it out at the time that we did. So there you go. Enjoy.
Top of the bill. Everybody knows In Trance. A lot of people saw that. We released a live video for it, but not a lot of people know that we did another Scorpions classic that night right after In Trance. This is one of my all-time favorite Scorp songs.
Top of the bill!
Another special moment with Uli in Hamburg, and, you know, how cool to go up there and play In Trance and Top of the Bill with Uli John Roth in Germany in front of, you know, 1,000 screaming Germans. It was so special and something that I'll never forget.
So that's the track listing for Year of the Demon. And remember, all these singles, they're all released independently, and they were all mixed and mastered by different people. We mentioned Fleming Rasmussen, Steve Albini. You've got live tracks there, too, from different venues. So how do you get all of these songs to sit together on a compilation? So enter Armand John Anthony, who gives these songs an all-new master for this compilation.
When putting all of these singles together on one record, you know, I mean, we had 5 different engineers. Every single was mastered by a different person. We just tried this experiment. We wanted to go with everybody that we wanted to work with. And it was awesome. And it worked as singles. But putting this on the record, we want it to sound somewhat cohesive as we can. I mean, the songs aren't cohesive in style. But sonically, you know, just something. So when discussing mastering engineers, we talked about some pretty big names that were going to cost us a lot of money. And we ended up just, you know, having Armand do it. I mean, he masters a lot of records, and he's in the band. He fucking cares. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's not going to try and make us sound like shit. So we spent a good amount of time listening back to things. He would make CDs, and I still listen to CDs in my car. So I would check some mastering sessions out that he did, and he did a great job. And I think we'll talk more about this later, but in the big experiment of going and working with our heroes, or people that we really admire, I think we've still yet to find the guy. We've had some great experiences with all these people, recording these songs, but in the end, we haven't found that fourth member in the form of a producer / engineer. And Armand is just so good at what he does, and he knows what we want, and who knows, maybe it will always just be the three of us.
When we went out and recorded these songs, we worked with different producers. There's some live tracks on there. Things happen with that doesn't always work out in your favor, and you kind of have to work around it. But since we did work with so many producers and we were in different studios with different gear, every song sounded different, and we wanted it to be that way. But now with this compilation and everything being on one album, the levels need to be the same as far as mastering. Maybe went in there and remixed a few things to kind of make it a little more sound, and maybe some things that we didn't originally like with the original mixes. So we were able to kind of go in there and make it the way we want it when it's a whole thing together. So, for us personally, it puts it all into a nice package, on top of the fact that all the songs are going to be very cohesive, and everything's going to be very sound.
I gave all the songs a new master. I ran all the songs through analog tape as just another way to give it a little bit of a different, feel, vibe, sound, warm, thickness.
As far as the sequencing, we just pretty much went in order. So if you're listening to the vinyl, it's tracks 1 through 5 are the A sides in the order they came out in: Empire's Fall, Kill the Pain, Are You Out There, Hysteria, In Trance, Live with Uli Roth. The B side of the LP are the B sides of the singles that were on the vinyl. Starting, with the covers. So you got Fast Bikes, 100 Miles Per Hour, The Sun Goes Down, Wasted Years Live, and Top of the Bill Live. So pretty much straightforward.
So a new master to make the song sound a bit more cohesive on the compilation. And you have a bunch of separate singles, and they were released independently. So how do you capture the spirit of all of that in an album cover? They're all kind of unrelated in subject matter. Night Demon turns to Donnie Phillips. And after a bunch of different versions and revisions and ideas, I'll note too that these preliminary ideas, some of them are really cool, are in the subscriber section on nightdemon.net. But eventually they settle on an idea that binds all of these ideas together.
It's going to have some killer new artwork from the ever so talented Donnie Phillips, who we've worked with many times in the past. And again, he knocked it out of the park. The album artwork is really cool.
The album cover is really, really cool for Year of the Demon. I know that Armand and Jarvis with Donnie were really hands-on with the idea. I basically got the sketches as they were working on them, but those guys put a lot of time into the idea and the design. And when I saw it for the first time, I was just blown away. I think it's great.
Donnie Phillips did the artwork for this. So Donnie is, besides the EP that Kane Shimmick did when we first started out, Donnie has done the cover art for Curse of the Damned, Darkness Remains, Live Darkness, and now Year of the Demon. He's our album cover guy, even though I guess this isn't an album, right? I keep saying that. You guys decide. We'll let you guys decide. You know, the fact that 60% of the record is cover songs, that's why I don't consider it Night Demon album number 3, but I don't really care. I don't really care what people classify it as. I consider the debut EP album number 1. So, hey, for all it's worth, this is album number 4. But Donnie did a great fucking job. We decided to do something based kind of on almost like an ancient calendar with a lot of high strangeness going on, and the sigil in the sky with the 12 symbols that represent the band, and there's symbols on there that also represent every single on this album.
So this is a really cool album cover. Go to nightdemon.net. You should be able to see a picture of it. There's a stone circle with some sort of ritual going on. There's the Night Demon sigil, and there's 12 symbols surrounding it. And it's all laid out really cool. Here's my stab at trying to decipher the meaning of all these symbols. So you have a hand coming up out of the ground, which kind of, it harkens back to the Darkness Remains album cover, where you have like hands coming out of the ground there. Also, I think, to me, it reminds me of the Thunder and Lightning album cover, the Thin Lizzy album cover, which is where The Sun Goes Down originally comes from. So that's kind of cool. That ties in old Night Demon and references Thin Lizzy. Then there's a dagger, which references the Kill the Pain album cover. You see Eugene's eyes, which is kind of a tie back to Curse of the Damned. There's a chalice, which Empire's Fall art, the Curse of the Damned cover art, the chalice. There's a wolf, and it's the wolf from the window in the Darkness Remains album cover, which I think is pretty cool. There's a Black Widow, the Black Widow single art. There's an axe, which always reminds me of Eugene, after Rocky, the kind of secondary Night Demon character. Then we have a heart, which is kind of a reference to the Kill the Pain album cover. Also kind of reminds me of Cleveland. They had that unique Heart of It All graphic for that Cleveland show, which kind of ties into Live Darkness. And Live Darkness, that show is where this Wasted Years single comes from. So I'm not sure if that's intended, but that's kind of something I've read into it. There's a rose, which is kind of the Are You Out There art, and kind of like a Thin Lizzy tribute in general, just having a little rose icon. There's a scorpion, which of course the scorpion tracks on this album. There's a picture of Rocky from the Wisteria art as one of the icons. And there's the Night Demon cross, which is kind of a tie back to, old school Night Demon and the Night Demon EP. So 12, I know, I've been calling them icons, symbols, runes, whatever you want to call them. It is cool the way they kind of make reference to the current singles and the themes in these 2020 singles, and really tying back to the artwork that has come in the past for Night Demon. It kind of ties everything they've released together, not just the singles, but even going back to the EP. So I think it's a really, really, really well done album cover for a compilation.
I don't know. I think we kind of wanted to do something. We kind of wanted to do something that tied into like the Chinese calendar. Year of the rat, year of the rabbit, or whatever. Year of the monkey, which is my year, 1980. Hell yeah. So, something like a zodiac sort of kind of calendar thing. And I think that's about all that the idea that we gave him. So upon the initial idea, rough drafts that we got back, it was cool, but there was something missing that wasn't really tying it all into the band. So I remember I was talking with Jarvis about it one day, and we came up with the idea of making each one of the symbols of the zodiac that are on this calendar have something to do with the band. Something pulled from, the different, covers from the singles, plus, little kind of Easter egg things that you'll all see soon enough. But yeah, we're really, really stoked on how it came out. I think once we gave him that direction, it all kind of fell into place. And then he surprised us as well with the rest of the cover. I mean, I don't know if I want to get too into trying to describe it and paint you a picture because it'll all be out there soon enough. But just know that, yeah, it's going to be really cool and it's going to be something different. It's very different from all the other covers that we've had before. It's real fresh and I'm really proud of it. And I think he did a killer job once again.
You know, the whole kind of astrological chart around the moon and how the astrology is all images of previous art that we've had in the band, which also coincides with, you know, the Darkness Remains album cover where there's, you know, Curse the Damned stuff on there. There's, you know, Rocky's there, Eugene's in the window. Now it kind of ties it all in again where all of our artwork it's symmetry, you know, it's everything just goes hand in hand, and it's nice to see that on this album cover. It's a continuation of what we've previously done, but it's next level artwork. It's amazing.
But Donnie is amazing, and we collaborated very well on this, and it's just an incredible album cover.
Hi, my name is Don Fury. I'm an illustrator, designer, printmaker. I've been involved with most of the Night Demon LPs. I think all of them, actually. So Curse of the Damned, Darkness Remains, the Year of the Demon 7-inch series, and the new Year of the Demon LP cover as well. Jarvis and I have a long history of collaborating well, and I was beyond stoked when he tapped me to do the Year of the Demon 7-inch series. When Jarvis reached out to me about this Year of the Demon 7-inch series, I knew it was like a cool out-of-the-box idea, which is no surprise because this band just is constantly coming up with cool out-of-the-box ideas. So, I was stoked to jump in immediately. Every time he hit me with a new cover for a 7-inch by, like, you know, the super talented designers that he reached out to, painters, etc. Every time he hit me with one, my mind was blown. And I was just stoked to come up with like a cool, cohesive sort of design conceit to kind of carry through each 7-inch. I came up with this 12-pointed star Ouroboros icon to put in the middle of the labels so that every label, you know, we just kind of flipped up the colors, but every label, when you hold it up next to each other, you know, it's very consistent. And it was just a cool out of the box idea that you know, more bands should utilize. I mean, like, this is a band that prides itself on giving its core fans something collectible and something you know, tangible and cool and like a deeper user experience for the listener. And this was the perfect way to kind of thread that needle. And like I'm proud of the art that we came up together. The Year of the Demon LP art stems from a cool overlap of life experience that Jarvis and I had this last year, spending a lot of time in Ireland. He was in the north of Ireland in Derry. I was down south in County Kerry in a small town called Killorglin. My wife and I had sold our house in Colorado. We moved out there. We were attempting to spend as much time out there as possible, but COVID kind of cut our run short. But we were out there for 3 months. And we were both, Jarvis and I were both inspired by the landscape and the history of Ireland. And it was just an organic decision to put the cover in a stone circle, you know, kind of like frame this thing in a more antiquarian setting than a typical calendar. You know, like we had the Year of the Demon. I thought it was a perfect match to kind of come up with this astrological style calendar that radiated from the ceremony that was happening in the stone circles. I had done the stone circle originally more in a Avesbury, Stonehenge style, but Jarvis quickly pointed out that Spinal Tap ruins Stonehenge for any metal band using that imagery. So we took the capstones off, and it's this more kind of like stone circle ruin, with these naked people dancing around, as one does. And, they're conjuring the spirit, this kind of like New Year dedication, and this astrological calendar that, had originally had the traditional 12 astrological signs represented, but Jarvis had a great idea to flip it up and replace each one of those symbols with a symbol that was specific to the band's aesthetic history. So we have the chalice and the eyes and various things. Like, there's a lot of cool little Easter eggs if you dig in and take a look at all the little symbols that are incorporated into that. But yeah, it was a cool way to round off a really consistent, cool campaign. Again, like the band is constantly coming up with cool, out of the box ideas, and this one I think we threaded the needle pretty well on, and I was honored to get tapped to do it, and looking forward to the next one too.
Based on all the weird spiritual shit that the band believes in, the supernatural and the extraterrestrial, and just the things that are around us that we can't see. It's a great depiction of that. And it really, it's you have these people in this stone circle doing this kind of seance to the gods. And, the gods of Night Demon are definitely raining down on them in this cover. The entire layout of this album is really cool. And Donnie was involved in that too. Actually, he did the whole layout, but he was involved from the beginning with the singles. He did the layout for all of the singles. He didn't do any of the cover art except for Are You Out There? He did half of that cover art, and he did the Entrance layout, which, with doctoring of Schorg's photo on the front. But it's really cool how all the singles tie into the layout, and the cover art for all the singles is not only represented in the icons of the calendar on the album cover, but there's also thumbnails of them on the back cover and in the CD version, and they're very big and they have full pages, and there's representation in the LP layout too. So this compilation as a full record is very cohesive with all of the singles. And, I'm just looking forward to holding it in my hands. We did, it's one thing seeing it on a screen, but, I've got to thank Nicholas in the German office. He really kind of stepped up to the plate as our new product manager after our good friend Arne had to step away because the company moved. But he really did a good job helping us compile everything. And one thing is there's something called a hype sticker that. When you see a sticker on a record in the store, it's kind of like a selling point, like a selling sticker. And it's called a hype sticker in the industry. And they sent me the hype sticker, and it was, I could tell it was, and no offense here, it was German people translating what this is exactly to English. And they did such a good job of it that I actually didn't understand it with my second grade education. So, I had to kind of just say, hey, look, like, not to insult you guys, our fans, but it's just sometimes I'm thinking about the first time. The hype sticker is for somebody who doesn't know the band. Okay, so like the guy who wants to buy a metal record is actually still going to a record store and looking in the racks, and he reads something, he or she reads something, and she might, it was just a bit complex. It was accurate, but it was a bit too complex the way they worded it, and I think I had to just dumb it down.
So I have the mock-up here of the hype sticker, the original and the final. And these will be in the Night Demon subscriber section on nightdemon.net. But the final version says, Night Demon proudly present Year of the Demon, the complete 2020 singles collection. Contains all 5 out-of-print 7-inch releases, including rare B-sides. And here's the original hype sticker mock-up. It says, Southern California Metal Masters Night Demon proudly present Year of the Demon compilation. Contains all 5 rare out-of-print 7-inch releases in a unified compendium. So unified compendium doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. So it's been revised, and that's not the one you're going to see on your 12-inch vinyl. So Year of the Demon, March 25th, 2022. Pre-order starts on nightdemon.net January 21st, 2022. And there's more important dates coming in the Year of the Demon.
Another thing we're going to do for the release of this record is an album release show in Oxnard, California, which is the sister city to Ventura. We're doing it at a brewery called Casa Agria, and they've been wanting to make a Night Demon beer for a long time. We've got 3 beers in the works right now. We've got Ogopogo doing a Flight of the Manticore beer. We've got the Darkness Remains IPA that's been over at Goldhorn in Cleveland for a long time that we're going to can next year. But the first one to come out here is going to be Beer of the Demon. Yes, I know that sounds silly, but we didn't know what else to call it. And we were kind of punning the artwork of this comp for the can of the beer. Donnie's going to do that art too. So it'll be cool. But we're going to do that sometime, probably early April. And we'll be announcing that soon. But we're also planning on doing, if all goes well and our tour happens in the spring, we'll be going to a lot of places in the States for this, and then hitting Europe right away. But if the tour falls through, we do still plan on doing some one-offs and some album release shows in the hot spots, and you guys can guess already where those are in the States, and we will see you there for that.
So Beer of the Demon for Year of the Demon. I love it. So lots of touring, hopefully, for Night Demon on this new compilation. We mentioned 3 different beers and a hot sauce. Now this new compilation, and if that's not enough to make 2022 the Year of the Demon, there's more huge news for Night Demon regarding brand new music.
Yeah, the new album of new material, end of 2022. Yeah, it's a pretty big endeavor. I guess you can call it sort of a concept. I don't know how in depth we're going to be going about all that just yet. But I will say this, the album is going to have a really, really nice continuous flow. Half of the record was originally written at the time leading up to the singles. And the original idea was to use that as a B-side to the record. It was basically like a 20-minute opus sort of thing. And that was going to be, we made it exactly 20 minutes and 20 seconds for 2020. And originally we were going to take the A-sides, all the singles that we put out, and that was going to be the A-side of the record, and then the B-side was going to be this new sort of, I don't know, continuous piece of music that we had written. So as things change and time goes on, we discussed and we decided to save that piece of music and then write another 4 or so songs to flesh that out into a whole new album. And since we had been spending the time apart over most of 2021, Jarvis being in Ireland, Dusty being back in Pennsylvania, we made a plan to take October of 2021 and to get together and try to flesh out the rest of the record. And we were successful in doing that. And some of these songs are, I don't know, some of the best stuff I think we've written together. It'll be the first, compilation of songs where, well, I guess these singles were all written together. But as far as my contribution to these songs, it's some of the, probably the, most intense guitar playing that I've ever done on any recording. The solos I'm super proud of. The riffs, I don't even know. You just got to listen to it. It's gonna blow minds. Unfortunately, you got to wait most of the year until you can hear it, but it'll be worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, this new record, I mean, it's the music that we've made for it is just, it's really, really unique. It's really cool. It's really exciting. I can't wait for people to hear the new stuff.
Without giving away too many details, or any at all, really, I will say that Night Demon will have a brand new full-length record by the end of 2022. It will be released on November 4th with brand new songs that nobody's ever heard. I know that people are chomping at the bit for new stuff, and this compilation Year of the Demon is not necessarily new stuff, but we are a touring band and we need to tour on this music. And the blessing in disguise of this pandemic is we're now able to re-release this. We never did any press on this. So for a lot of people, these songs are brand new, and we're going to go out there. We're going to kick some ass. We're going to come to your town. We're going to fucking rock the house like we do. And we're going to play this new stuff for you. At least the newer stuff, the 2020 stuff. And once that wraps up, we'll be right back with a new record. Basically, a week after we finish touring on Year of the Demon. So we'll be right back with you guys. We're making up for lost time here, and we really appreciate you standing by us.
So 2022 is Year of the Demon. New compilation in March, new studio album in November, lots of live dates, and tours on the books, 3 beers, a hot sauce. As always, you can check out nightdemon.net for all this information. Until next time, this is Nesbitt signing off.
The sun goes down.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.